Epistemological questions concerning how created beings are able to know the uncreated God have burgeoned for over 1,500 years. Historically, the Christological controversies of the 4th century facilitated the rise of two very different theories about the knowledge of God. One held to a kind of radical apophaticism, claiming that God is totally unknowable. The other embraced the exact opposite view, proclaiming that we can know Him in His entirety, that is, by essence. Though opposite, the conclusions of Arius and Eunomius share a common foundation, the belief that the second person of the Holy Trinity is a creature, like us. Now, it's worth noting that their insistence on Christ's subjugation was founded on the fear of damaging God's divine simplicity. In consequence, the outcome for epistemology was a false dichotomy. Either God is not knowable at all, or He is knowable by essence. This dichotomy denies any possibility of union without confusion with God, and thus any real knowledge of Him. According to the Eastern Orthodox Church, neither of these views are correct, as both systems obliterate the bridge between created beings and the uncreated God. The Orthodox understanding concerning Jesus Christ, who is the bridge, homoousios with God on account of His divine nature, and homoousios with us on account of His incarnation, is reflected in the Nicene Creed, the Vesperal hymn Gladsome Light, and the 4th century responses to Arius and Eunomius by Athanasius, the Cappadocians, Chrysostom, and others. While all mainstream Christian confessions pay verbal homage to the full deity and humanity of Jesus Christ, hidden underneath the accepted technical terminology are a few fundamental differences. Namely, what are the implications of the Incarnation for our knowledge of God? And what constitutes knowledge of God? How one answers these questions will not only inform their adherence to a particular Christian tradition, but also how they live the Christian life on a day-to-day basis. For Orthodox Christians, becoming like God is a prerequisite for knowledge of Him. The pathway towards Christ-likeness, in other words, is the keeping of the commandments. Those that persevere on this difficult path move from law to grace, where the majesty, the glory of God is revealed. This is what fathers like St. Gregory the Theologian called the vision of God, a vision which constitutes union with Him. Put simply, knowledge of God is participation in God. It is participation in His very life. This participation is not a vision of or union with the essence. Rather, it is a vision of the back parts of God, which He leaves behind Him as tokens of Himself, like the shadows and reflection of the sun in the water, which show the sun to our weak eyes because we cannot look at the sun Himself. For by His unmixed light, He is too strong for our power of perception. The result of the Orthodox view is a paradox with which not everyone is comfortable. But as Metropolitan Callistos Ware once said, antinomy helps us to shatter these idols. And if we exclude the antinomic dimension of theology, the danger is that we shall never ascend to the level of spiritual understanding at all. Orthodox Christians confess then that we must come to know God intimately by direct contact with Him, without mediation of created theophanies, effects, or acts. But we do not come to know or participate in His essence. This is made possible by His actions, His involvement in the world, His energies, also called powers. These actions of God in the world are manifestations of Himself, and as such they are uncreated. But they are not His essence, which is known only to the Holy Trinity. The essence-energies distinction in God is an objective differentiation within God Himself that does not do damage to the divine simplicity. Like Arius and Eunomius before them, modern theologians who criticize this doctrine, codified by St. Gregory Palamas in the 14th century, are concerned about its effects on the divine simplicity. However, just as the distinction of persons does not divide the oneness of God, neither does the essence-energies distinction, which belongs to nature, oneness as the three always act together. This reality is central to our interaction and relationship with any person. Consider, for example, how each of us has a private internal world, the depths of which no other human can plumb. This world remains unknown to those around us, and sometimes even to ourselves, unless we reveal it to them. those to whom we reveal this world gain knowledge about us. We might even say that to a certain extent they participate in this world. But their participation is only participation in our energies, that is, our actions, interactions, words, or what we reveal to them. They can never get inside of us and participate in the essence. This kind of knowledge is markedly different than the kind of knowledge that one gets from memorizing facts about a favorite celebrity. In like manner, knowledge of God is not verbally confessing or adhering to dogmatic axioms about Him. It is a living relationship with Him. If the essence-energies distinction is not made, the question of the 4th century remains. How can we truly know and be united with God without confusion? Either we only know created effects and thus not God Himself, or we know God as He is in His essence, a reality admitted only to the persons of the Trinity, who share the divine nature. But with the essence-energy distinction, we come to know God as He is Himself without coming to be united with His essence. We come to be united and connected to Him in a true relationship.